After releasing many years worth of WWF games and a few ECW games, Acclaim figured they were pros in the genre and decided to start work on a wrestling game involving legends of the business. The first two attempts weren't horrible, but also weren't very good. Third time's a charm, right? Not so much. In 2004, Acclaim released Showdown, Legends of Wrestling on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. The game starts up and gives a little intro filled with clips of the game in action, set to a cover version of Quiet Riot's Metal Health. Kinda cool as it shows a nice variety of wrestlers from different eras.
Bang your head. Metal Health will drive you mad. Bang your head. Metal Health will drive you mad. Bang your
The song gets old fast though, as it plays an instrumental version throughout all the menus. The game's menus are actually one of the high points of the game. They're pretty creative and look really good. Even the loading screens look alright. Now, if you ever wanted a wrestling game with a roster not only consisting of superstars from your childhood, but your father's also, this is it. Guys like Hogan, Snuka, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Savage, Sting, DDP, Andre the Giant, Jerry Lawler, Billy Graham. I could go on and on. This game is loaded. Oh, and each wrestler has 4 attires to choose from, mostly from different eras of their careers, so you can select from douchey-looking Scott Steiner to even douchier-looking Scott Steiner. The selection is great. The arena selection is also great. 18 of them to choose from, and while obviously they didn't have the WWF and WCW licenses, they did their best to duplicate some famous stages from the companies. All of them look really good and really manage to be unique in the sense that not only are all the rings and stages different, but the actual arenas themselves differ a lot in appearance.
Now entering the arena from Venice Beach, California, weighing 275 pounds, the man, the myth, the legend, the immortal icon of professional wrestling, Hulk Hogan!
The wrestlers' entrances actually aren't too bad. They're all pretty generic, but do feature realistic taunts and cheap knockoffs of their real-life themes. Now, so far it sounds like we're on the right track for a good wrestling game, right? Well, that's debatable. Once an actual match starts, it all goes downhill. First off, the cast of announcers is good. Tony Schiavone, Larry Zbyszko, and Bobby the Brain Heenan make up the commentary team. So right off the bat, it's got a WCW feel to it. Problem here is, the announcing is repetitive. Some vocals are overly loud while others can barely be heard, and Heenan at times is just mumbling and I can't even understand what the hell he's saying. Then there's the gameplay. As you can see, it features nice move animations and it has a nice button layout, but that's pretty much it. It's very buggy. You know those games where you press a button and you don't get any on-screen response for a few seconds? Well, that would be an improvement. In Showdown, sometimes you'll push buttons and get absolutely nothing, just an ass-kicking. Collision detection is another problem. A lot of times you'll swing a fist at somebody and witness contact, but according to the game, not so much. Or you'll swing a phantom fist not even near your opponent and he'll drop to the mat. The bad hit detection also causes a lot of floating and transporting glitches where wrestlers will morph around the ring in different positions. Like I said, this game is very buggy. You'll come across something like this in probably every 1 out of 5 matches. Even though it's Acclaim, it doesn't feel like any of the past games like Warzone, but at this point, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If you have the game set to the easiest difficulty, it'll pop up button commands throughout your match that'll help you. Finishers are pretty easy to perform. You simply... Wait, I'll just have Bret Hart explain it.
Momentum is what your wrestler needs for finishers. You can only do these after you've filled up your momentum needed. To do that, you have to land successful attacks on your opponent. Finishers are especially devastating moves that you can use only when you have your opponent in the required position and your momentum meter is full. When this happens, A finisher icon will appear by your wrestler's name to let you know you can use the move. To activate the finisher, flick the right analog stick when you see the icon.
The main problem I find with the finishers is how long it takes to gather one. Yeah, it makes sense, DDP's not going to hit a diamond cutter a minute into a match, but the problem here lies in the fact that I beat down my opponent for what feels like an eternity and then finally get a finisher, drop it on him, and 2 count. What the hell is that about? I mean, I sure as hell don't want to wait another 20 minutes for a finisher, and I don't want to win with a weak-ass move like a scoop slam, so I usually just quit the match. It's a shame, really. Not only does the game feature traditional single and tag team matches, there's also a few gimmick matches like cage, ladder, table, but given the dodgy controls, these matches can be a bit of a task. Cage matches are anything but fun. You beat the hell out of your opponent, daze him, climb to the top of the oversized cage, and by this time your opponent is up and shaking the cage, causing you to fall down to the ring. For the life of me, I could not finish a cage match by climbing over the top, even after beating my opponent to the max amount of days possible over and over. Look at this.
Climbing the cage. He's had enough of the cage. How do you defend against the Scorpion Deathlock and the Steelers flags and sting? Only one way, Tony.
So eventually I just climb out when the ref opens the door. But even this looks kinda goofy. You gotta tap the hell out of the square button to get out of the ring. Meanwhile, your wrestler is just bent over on the middle rope looking like an idiot. But hey, I mean, they gotta make it challenging, I guess. The ladder match is a bit better, if you can hang on to the ladder, that is. It's a chore just picking the damn thing up. After a while beating down your opponent, you'll be able to set up the ladder and climb up to retrieve the title. Though you might not want to win a match knowing this is waiting for you.
Guerrero gets the win.
This one's finished.
Oh, and there's a 30-man over-the-top rope elimination match. It's actually pretty fun if you can get over the bad controls. The Create a Legend option doesn't have that much to offer. I mean, they loaded it up with tons of attire and pre-recorded announced names to choose from, but there aren't many hair or face options, so it's hard to get any diversity out of it. There's also no option to change the color of the gear you select for your wrestler, which flat out sucks. I really wouldn't even hold this create mode above the one seen in Warzone. Graphically, it's a mix of good and bad. Some of the wrestler models look decently realistic, while others look like pumped-up cartoon characters. The attires are all spot on, the venues look good, and for the most part, the camera angles present the game nicely. One thing that bugs me is the in-game music. For the most part, I don't want music in a wrestling game during a match. It just doesn't fit. You know, they don't play music in real-life matches, why do it here? I mean, would Madden feel right if there were random songs playing during your game? Anyway, you can turn the music off, but it'll turn all the music off, including the entrance themes, which is pretty retarded. Jimmy Hart, who used to do entrance themes for WWF and WCW, created most of the music for the game, so even though the placement of the music pisses me off, at least it has a real wrestling feel to it. There's Classics mode, in which you can take part of historic matches from the past. And then there's also a career mode, which starts you out in the 70s as you wrestle your way through the decades, complete with cheesy storylines and random mismatches. Personally, I feel they should have set up matches with wrestlers from their actual time periods. Instead, you might select somebody like Eddie Guerrero and have him wrestling throughout the 70s, looking as he did in the 2000s. With all the bad controls and glitchy gameplay, it's no surprise this game didn't do well. I mean, even a roster like this one couldn't save the series. Legends of Wrestling is where veteran wrestling games go to die. It's like the Independents in that sense. And Acclaim is the wrestler. At the end of the road, when WWF doesn't want you anymore and ECW goes under, this is the last place to go, and you can put every little bit of hope and energy into making one last epic run, but in the end, retirement is the only option. And ultimately, that's what happened to Acclaim not long after the game's release. It's a nice nostalgic game, but really not worth a look unless you're a hardcore fan.